Dutch agriculture has earned a worldwide reputation for modernity, efficiency, and productivity. The Netherlands is now one of the world's top 2 food exporting countries. You can find Dutch agricultural products practically anywhere in the world. How did this success come about? Where did it come from? To answer these questions, we first have to go back in time. Over 100 years ago, many Dutch farmers lived on small mixed farms, often in conditions of extreme poverty. Scarcely noticed by the government, they were left to their own devices. The 1880s saw an especially serious decline in the fortunes of Dutch farmers. With the advent of improved transportation, cheap grain from America and Russia began to flood Western Europe, bringing with it an agricultural crisis of unprecedented gravity. While neighboring countries sought solutions in protected home markets, the Netherlands embarked on a different course of policies. It realized that to be competitive, the farmers would have to boost both the quality and volume of their production. The government's strategy to achieve competitiveness focused on 3 key areas: education and research, organization, trade, sales, and distribution. Farming families throughout the country benefited from this new course. Numerous agricultural cooperatives were set up. They were so successful that by 1920, practically every farmer and market gardener in the Netherlands was a member. By pooling their resources, farmers were able to reduce the influence of middlemen. The rise of cooperatives was a special boon to small, undercapitalized farmers. Another major departure in the Netherlands' new course was the restructuring of land use, which continues today. Fragmented pieces of land were redistributed in order to boost efficiency and to streamline the overall infrastructure. Selective mechanization played a key role in the drive towards efficiency. No single piece of machinery better symbolizes this than the tractor. However, buying expensive new machinery only makes sense if you use it intensively, which means on larger parcels of land. Small farmers outside cooperatives found it hard to survive the onward march of mechanization. Unable to compete with their mechanized rivals, many of them quit farming. Small mixed farms gradually made way for larger, more specialized ones. The great success of these and many other developments is evident from the resulting rise in production. Between 1880 and 1950, output rose 6-fold in most agricultural subsectors. And since 1950, this growth has continued, mainly thanks to more efficient production methods. These methods lessen the farmer's dependence on the availability of large quantities of land and are especially prevalent in the rearing of small ruminants and in horticulture. They enable farmers to increase their yield on unchanged or even smaller acreages by applying new technologies and high-level expertise. Consequently, productivity has risen to such an extent that the home market was saturated long ago. This led Dutch agriculture to orient itself towards exports. The foundation of the European Community in 1957 was of major significance in facilitating these exports. It created an enormous internal market for agricultural products, a market practically free of trade barriers, and made it possible for Dutch agriculture and horticulture to grow even further. However, the explosion in output has had unfavorable effects too. It has skewed the market in favor of supply. Within the European Community, agriculture is supported by guaranteed minimum prices, known as intervention prices, which spur farmers on to even greater efforts. The inevitable result is overproduction. Milk Lake, Butter Mountain, Grain Mountain, and Beef Mountain all have a familiar ring to Western ears. However, the community is now calling a halt to overproduction. Perhaps even more worrying than overproduction is the increase in environmental damage. Intensive cattle rearing, for example, produces an annual manure surplus of around 14 million tons. Over-fertilization causes the release of several chemicals into the air and water. These include nitrogen, potash, phosphates, ammonia, and other minerals. Overproduction and environmental stress not only harm our quality of life, in the long run, they also affect productivity itself, putting the sustainability of both agriculture and horticulture at risk. Dutch farmers are increasingly aware of this risk, so now they are pooling resources to combat environmental damage. Manure, for example, is being distributed more efficiently around the country, or being processed for recycling. Surplus manure is now temporarily stored until it can be spread on arable and pasture land. Farmers are also attacking the roots of the problem by curbing the production of manure and minerals through more balanced animal feed. In addition, they are curbing the use of insecticides. Of course, the Netherlands is not the only country where the need to raise productivity threatens sustainability. It is a worldwide problem. However, there is a difference between its causes in rich countries and poor ones. In rich countries, environmental damage is a result of affluence and abundance. In poor countries, on the other hand, environmental damage is linked to real hardship. More than 1 billion, that is over 20% of the planet's population, live in abject poverty, and most of them depend on the land to survive. Third world farmers have to cope as best they know how. Most of them cultivate small patches of land, producing barely enough to feed themselves. And as rural populations rise, the land gets divided into smaller and smaller units, where agriculture eventually becomes unviable. Overcultivation quickly exhausts the land, which then falls prey to erosion and desert formation. There is a vicious circle of environmental damage and poverty at work here. Increases in population exacerbate the lack of productive land, which in turn leads to further overcultivation. Strategies for breaking this circle used to focus on technological solutions. When this proved insufficient, blame was often leveled at the lack of expertise among local farmers. Now we know better. How can we expect people to act as guardians of the environment when they are caught up in a constant struggle for their daily food supply? For all its different causes, environmental damage in rich and poor countries alike has identical effects. The balance of nature and the quality of life are disturbed. It is a worldwide problem. Environmental problems do not respect man-made boundaries. They can seldom be solved by one country acting alone. They transcend international borders, calling for a worldwide approach. Sustainability is the key word here. Development has to meet the needs of current generations without spoiling the chances of future generations to sustain themselves. To restore the balance of nature and safeguard sustainability, we need an integrated approach encompassing the main infrastructural cornerstones of modern agriculture. These are, first, education, public information, and research. Secondly, organization. And third, trade, sales, and distribution. The strategies for achieving these aims will vary from country to country. The Netherlands cannot serve as an agricultural model for the entire world. However, one thing is certain. Without a sound infrastructure, including all these components, and effective coordination among them, adequate solutions will not be forthcoming. Let us take a closer look at these structural cornerstones, at how they serve Dutch agriculture, and at how they have been put to work in Dutch foreign aid projects. In its early days, agricultural education in the Netherlands used to concentrate on the achievement of bigger and better harvests. Later, it also began to focus on effective farm management, new technology, and the application of new knowledge. Present-day agricultural education in the Netherlands is very broad-based. Courses for future farmers and market gardeners are pitched at 4 related levels: lower, intermediate, higher, and university. Students can choose from a variety of specializations. For instance, here at Wageningen Agricultural University, environmental studies and food technology are taught alongside biology, plant pathology, and molecular sciences. For more than 75 years, Larenstein International Agricultural College, LUW, in Deventer has specialized in fields such as European and tropical agriculture. Agricultural research is a top priority. Research stations, model farms, and on-farm trials are constantly yielding new, improved species of animals and plants. Research focuses on improving feed quality, fertilization techniques, and more recently, low input methods.
Ook 8, ja, dat is mogelijk.
Yet production techniques and the processing of agricultural products are not the only fields of research. The economic and sociological aspects of the production process also receive attention. Of course, education and research do not stand alone. Quite the contrary, there is constant interaction between theory and practice. A closely coordinated network of advisors brings the results of research straight to the farmers, who can then start applying them right away. A new disease-resistant species of potato, developed today for instance, could practically be in the fields tomorrow. Foreign interest in Dutch agricultural education is increasing rapidly. Students from all over the world come to the Netherlands for courses tailored to their particular needs and backgrounds. Special courses span the agricultural gamut from management through livestock breeding to women and agriculture. Luckily, you don't always have to make the long trip to the Netherlands to get the know-how you need. The government's development cooperation policy strongly supports the establishment of educational institutions in developing countries. At Malang Agricultural College, Indonesia, for instance, the Netherlands is backing a research project investigating the causes and effects of soil erosion and deforestation. Known as the Kali Kanto Project, it is continuing research into the correlation between deforestation and infertility in downstream areas. Deforestation removes the capacity to store rainfall upstream. As water flows downstream, it carries soil with it, threatening the viability of agriculture. The aim of the Kali Kanto project is to halt this process. The basic approach involves employing low-investment agricultural techniques, or LISA for short. Maximum use is made of traditional agricultural methods and know-how, and crop rotation practice is left undisturbed. The project's findings have led to rapid action. To keep fertile soil from being washed away, for instance, the local terrain has been restructured by building artificial terraces. The project has also supervised the replanting and maintenance of trees by local inhabitants. In return, the inhabitants are given pieces of land. In line with the principles of LISA, water consumption is kept as low as possible, and the variety of crops produced as wide as possible, the aim being to maximize crop stability and produce a maximum number of useful products. The result is the emergence of a whole new generation of small farmers. When agricultural research produces promising results, local inhabitants often act upon those results immediately. Indonesian Public Information Ministry officials regularly visit villages in rural areas to give advice on the most varied topics, including erosion, fertilization, and new species and crops. The advice they give tends to be pragmatic and of immediate use to farmers. The officials are also always available to answer questions from individual farmers, and thus play a major role in educating the rural population. Looking at the growth of Dutch cooperatives, we have seen that farmers soon learn the importance of self-help. Over the years, many small cooperatives in the Netherlands have merged into large, powerful organizations with streamlined structures for purchasing, distribution, processing, sales, and credit. They give Dutch farmers a competitive edge on world markets and open doors to the latest in production techniques. Such organizations operate not only at the local level, but also at provincial and national levels. What is unique about the Dutch agricultural sector is that employers and the self-employed sit together with the farm workers' unions in one national representative organization, the Industrial Board for Agriculture. This organization promotes the interests of everybody working in farming and market gardening. The board is continually in touch with various levels of government and other public agencies concerned with agriculture and horticulture. For instance, it has regular discussions on current issues with the Minister of Agriculture. Cooperatives and pressure groups are a powerful weapon in the struggle towards sustainable development. A good example can be seen in Maputo, the capital of Mozambique, a country torn apart by civil war. With financial support from the Netherlands, about 150 cooperatives have pooled resources to form the União Geral. The participating cooperatives have an average of 45 members each. Women make up 97% of the membership, a fair reflection of the fact that working the land is traditionally a female occupation in this part of Africa. The cooperatives are all independent and in principle can decide upon their own policies. All the same, they discovered early on that consultation and the coordination of activities led to better results. Unity is strength. It is this principle that led to the foundation of the União. The União consults and negotiates directly with the government, aid organizations, and the banks. It obtains credit and garners investment for such projects as the purchase and installation of 150 water pumps, a crucial support activity in a country like Mozambique. The União also fulfills a crucial marketing role. It collects market information, studies market trends, and coordinates the activities of its members so that they can respond to these trends. One example of the União's marketing role in action lies in chicken production. The Mozambican Civil War caused a sharp increase in the demand for cheap meat. Thanks to coordination by the União, the cooperatives were able to respond to this demand by switching from pig production to chickens. In the present uncertain situation, and in order to minimize costs, the União keeps as much of the production process as it can in its own hands. For example, it has its own flour mill, which produces animal feed as well as flour for human consumption. The União also has its own facilities for producing eggs and hatching chicks. Coordination of the production process enables cooperative members to buy raw materials and equipment at low prices and on very attractive terms. The cooperatives pay for the goods and services that the União supplies, but they only pay after they have sold their produce. They transfer all their income to the União's central bank account, from which they receive a monthly basic wage, which is supplemented by a commission based on their sales. Another União concern is with children. Creches and schools have been opened for children to stay in when their mothers are working on the land. Finally, the União supports a continuing education center where farmers can learn how to improve their production techniques. Since many Mozambicans are illiterate, lessons tend to be very practical. The center is so successful that people come from all over the country to attend it. As a result of its activities, the União has grown into a major player in the Mozambican economy. Its success has so captured the national imagination that similar initiatives are now being set up throughout Mozambique. The União has earned its role model status. For a country like the Netherlands, which exports about 60% of all its farm and horticultural products, reliable markets are crucial. But how can thousands of independent farmers, all with different interests, secure such markets? How can North Holland tomato growers, for instance, get their tomatoes to Poland, their seed potatoes to Algeria, and their bulbs to Japan? Cooperative auctions guarantee the best prices for both sellers and buyers. But they do more than that. They also provide a quality control mechanism. Consumers are becoming increasingly selective, and a good reputation is worth its weight in gold. A reliable distribution network is not only important in order to export products, it is also necessary to serve the home market. At this level too, most third world countries face problems. Distribution and sales opportunities are limited. Transport is a big problem in Mozambique, especially in rural areas where the civil war has left a cruel mark. Farmers were having enormous difficulties getting their products to the people. The União recognized this problem and now offers a solution with its own central stock of motor vehicles and machinery for collective use. The União also has its own technicians for maintenance and repairs. We have seen that progress in farming requires an integrated strategy involving education, organization, and distribution. Such a strategy was crucial when the challenge was to fine-tune the balance between the quantity and the quality of production. It is even more crucial today when the agricultural sector faces the new challenge of sustainability. Innovation in agriculture is a never-ending story. Environmental concern transcends international borders and demands a worldwide approach. To achieve this could be called the challenge of the 90s. A recent example of integration and environmental concern in action is flavobrood, or bread from the Flevopolder. Farmers in the Dutch agricultural district of the Flevopolder have joined forces to cultivate the basic ingredient of bread, wheat, with a minimum use of chemicals. They control the entire production and distribution process, thereby cutting out the middlemen. And the increasing willingness of the Dutch consumer to pay more for environment-friendly products allows the farmer to make the necessary investments. Environment-friendly cultivation is one way of ensuring that future generations can feed themselves. Sustainable agriculture is a precondition for their very survival. In the Netherlands, Indonesia, Mozambique, throughout the planet.